if you're watching this video, bro, you've probably had these thoughts at some point in your life. Maybe you're going through them right now and you're interested to see the experience of someone else. Now, around the end of 2020, I was talking to this girl. It's something that I've spoke about on multiple occasions on this channel. And the whole time, we never met up to this point. And just for context, I'm about 5'5" or 5'6", yeah. Short ass. And I was talking to this girl and I really liked her. And she was a friend of my friend who is another girl. And I kept having this idea in my head of, I reckon she's around 5'2". Now, when you're short and you're insecure about it, you fixate on the numbers. I think you know that yourself, bro, don't you? These days I'm not like this, but this is what I would actively think about before. And I never asked her for a good month, how tall are you? I never said it because I was scared of the response. God forbid she was my height, or even worse, she was taller. That sounded like my worst nightmare. All my insecurities were coming to the forefront. And then one day I just bit the bullet, bro. I messaged her friend, not even her. I messaged her friend that suggested me to her. And I said, oh, how tall is so-and-so, by the way? And then my friend messaged back saying, oh, she's about my height, maybe a bit taller. Bro, my heart just sunk. That was the worst answer I could have got. I was hoping for, fuck me, my eyes itching like a fuck. Jesus Christ. Always happens when I start filming, never in between. Anyway, that was my worst nightmare answer. You know why? Because that girl is also my height. So to hear she was my height, this girl that I liked so much, in fact, probably a little bit taller, I got like emotional, bro. And then I finally messaged the girl that I was talking to. Finally, I mustered up the small courage, no pun intended. And I said, oh, can I ask you a question? And this girl actually said, oh, I think I know what it's going to be. So they've already spoke about this. And I said, how tall are you? And she said, oh, I'm about 5'5". And she said, oh, as long as that doesn't bother you. So actually, she was quite positive about it. She didn't care. At least that's what she said. Okay? So she was saying it was fine. I should have just been like, cool. Not a problem with me. Because it wouldn't be now. But back then, bro, this is 2020, bear in mind. I started crying. I actually started crying. This was my worst nightmare. 19 years old. And not 19, sorry, 18 years old. And I'm crying because this girl that I like is the same height as me. Crying, bro. What, you little bitch? No, I won't say that, but I mean, I was being. Not only was I crying, this is the best part. I messaged her saying, I'm crying right now. So that's just fucked it. She messaged back like saying, oh, why are you crying? It's not a problem. So now she's basically having to control this right now because I'm in bits. I'm too much. I'm being too feminine. I don't like using these words too much, but I was being too much of a wetty to just be normal about the whole situation. And then I stopped talking to this girl, bro, around a month after. Bloody hell, my eye. This is so annoying when this happens because I actually just want to film a video and I've got an eyelash. Why does this happen? I'll just edit it out after. Let me fucking get this thing out. And about a month or two after that, bro, I'm not gonna lie, I don't know what the real answer is. Maybe she just went off me because I started crying to her. Or it's because of the height. It doesn't matter at the end of the day, but I know what my brain to went around this time. A month or two after, she said she doesn't want to talk anymore. She said it was mental health issues. It could have been anything, but I can't control what's going through her mind. And I said, okay, and I accepted it. But around that time, bro, what do you think I started blaming it on rather than my actual wet brain? I blamed it on my height. And again, I'm not blaming this on her. This is my mental health going in the wrong direction. And this really pained me because I actually really like this girl. Even though we never met, this is showing you how easy it was for me to attach to someone. And I went on a lot of walks around that time, trying my best to just journal and sort out my mental health. And every day in this notebook that I brought with me, it was a little tiny A6 one probably, if that's the size. And I'd write down, like, what am I insecure about? Let me lower this down, get a bit more intimate. Every day it was, oh, I'm too short. I'm so short that girls will not like me. And then what happened around this time? Obviously, around March, April time, I started looking up on Safari on my phone. How to get taller. Now, I started drinking milk every day. Don't ask, what am I, 7? This is the actual thing that I believe would help me get taller. Yeah, maybe my growth plates had not fully closed yet, so if I drank more milk, then my bones would get longer and thicker. It don't make sense, obviously, in retrospect, but then I stumbled across limb lengthening surgery. Now, I'm not actually going to say the name of the websites because I don't want you to get encouraged. But I remember the names of the websites, okay, bro? And I remember the prices of this limb lengthening surgery. Now, you've probably seen this online on Instagram because I keep coming up for some reason. Videos of these guys getting their legs extended with this little rod that gets put in that slowly opens up by 1 millimeter every day. And then eventually the bone starts to form around it and then they take the rod out eventually. I remember how it all works because I've researched it to shit, bro. And I saw this and I was convinced around April time, this is what I want to base my life on. I'm going to work so hard. So one day I can disappear and then come back with this surgery done. So I can hide from my friends for about a year and my family and not explain to them what was happening, which obviously makes no sense in retrospect. But I truly believed I could do this all in secret. Pay 20 grand for some surgery in Turkey that probably wasn't going to go well, with no aftercare because it's in a different country. Or go to America and get it done for 100k because one day I'm going to be rich enough to do that. I still believe that I'm going to be rich, of course, bro. But it was purposely to do this. Now, I'm not saying that pains, that like mental pains aren't powerful enough to push you towards things because I was working hard at that time, ironically. But can you see how bad my brain was at the time, bro? I was so deeply insecure that even though I was trying to journal about this and fix my mental health, I still wanted to pay at least 20k for a surgery that would probably give me long-term health issues, complications, just to be a few inches taller. I don't think you realise, bro, that when you see these people on Instagram, and I say this for a fact, that when they're getting these surgeries where they're doing incisions in their bones and extending them out so they can be taller with the same length arms, by the way, I don't think you realise, bro, how bad their mental health actually is. And I can say this with chest because I was them. I was so convinced. Now, I need to be incredibly grateful for my journey around that time because by the end of the year, I had fixed my mental health. And from that point, 2022 onwards, I've not thought about this once. Not a day goes by where I actually think about this stuff. And it's because through fixing my mental health, I realised that all of this sort of stuff about getting taller to be more confident is bollocks. The only way I was going to be happy was by fixing my brain. And I really dodged a bullet there. Now, you could argue that the pain of, you know, being dismissed by girls, at least in my brain, is a good pain to actually become successful, as you can use it as fuel. Yeah, you can use that as fuel, definitely. I think there's better alternatives, or at least on the same level. Yes, having worse mental health and having the pain of wanting to be taller, to be liked more, at least that's what I believe, is a powerful motivator. But I have quite a few of them that don't involve having horrible mental health. There's things that I can become more enraged about, which I do use. But I hope this isn't something that you're going through, bro, because around 2021, when all I was thinking about was saving up for this surgery, this was the worst period of my life in terms of mental stability. Now, I'm thankful that I went through it now, because this is the type of stuff that taught me a lot of things about myself and also led me to fixing my mental health. I have to thank that version of me because he put in the work. He laid the foundation to get me to where I am right now, where I'm the most confident and the most at peace I've ever been with myself. I used to feel so inadequate when I'd walk into places, like my dance club that I used to go to. I see these girls, I see these guys, and I think, oh, I just wish I was taller. And I'm not even like, obviously I'm short, but I'm not like that short, bro. It's not like I'm like 4'11". you know, and I got bullied for it when I was younger, and that never happened to me. I'm not saying this in like a cocky, weird way, but I never got picked on for my height, and it's probably because I was just confident anyway. But around this time, bro, it really affected me bad. And I was so convinced when I was younger that it was my height that was going to stop me from having a relationship. But in retrospect, it's clearly not that, bro, is it? The thing that was going to stop me from being in a relationship was my attitude towards myself. If I didn't believe I was worthy of being in a relationship, I wasn't going to actively seek a relationship. And that's a whole different thing about false beliefs. But in 2 years, not even 2 years, bro, I've gone from having probably the worst mental health in my life at 19 years old, praying to get limb lengthening surgery just for my legs, disappear for a year and hopefully no one notices, and then be able to pay it off, become 3 or 4 inches taller, to 2023, I'm the most regimented I've ever been. I'm the happiest I've ever been, the most content, the most at peace with myself. And I didn't have to pay for anything. Maybe some books. But I remember I spoke to a counsellor in 2021, and he was the first person I ever admitted to. Well, actually, not the first person, 1 or 2. The first person I admitted to was a girl, and we used to be really good friends, but we don't talk anymore. But I admitted it to my counsellor that I was deeply insecure about my height. And this wasn't the moment that fixed it, but it did plant some seeds in my head. So this actually did sort of bring stuff to the surface, this counselling session that helped me fix myself eventually. So I think he said, like, why are you worrying about this stuff? Like, it hasn't held back any other people from starting families or being successful. And it was really obvious. I just needed someone else to hear it. And I was like, yeah, you're right, actually. Now, I'm not saying I wasn't insecure about it in the future, but I got over it. By the time it was 2022, I didn't care about this stuff, bro. And I just want to say that if you're even considering getting surgery for something because you're deeply insecure about a part of your body, might be your penis. I don't know. But let's say it's your height for this, or for the girls, it might be your boobies. Don't know why I said it like that, I'm sorry. Just know that, at least in my opinion, that is the last resort, a surgery. If you try everything else to fix your mental health and all fails, then I'm not going to recommend anything, but then you might have to start considering it. But to be the first thing you go to, for me, luckily I started working on my mental health at the same time. But if I just decided immediately, maybe my upbringing was slightly different and my journey of this self-improvement was different, there could have easily been a situation in which I was just aiming to get this surgery and I wasn't working on my mental health at all. And that would have been pretty disastrous, bro, I think, especially in the long term. It probably would have made me even more insecure for walking around 3 inches taller, waddling like in those videos, and thinking, oh, do people know that I've gone and had surgery somewhere? Like, what do people think of me now? Do you get what I'm saying? I'm going to leave it there, bro. I just wanted to share this story with you because it used to be deeply personal to me, but it's not something I'm insecure about anymore. I keep getting this hair in my eye. Can't see it on the video, but I feel it. Let's leave it there, bro. All right. To all my short people out there, all right? Keep repping, all right? There's nothing to be ashamed of, all right? It's just how we're born. If people don't want that from you, then that's okay. Obviously, that's not the girl that you was ever going to settle with, is it? If they don't appreciate you for you. So there's literally nothing to worry about. Anyway, let's move on. All right. Short ass. What are you doing?